قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَىٰ كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ أَلَّا نَعْبُدَ إِلَّا اللَّهَ وَلَا نُشْرِكَ بِهِ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَتَّخِذَ بَعْضُنَا بَعْضًا أَرْبَابًا مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ ۚ فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَقُولُوا اشْهَدُوا بِأَنَّا مُسْلِمُونَ.
Bismillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, and may peace and blessing be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Dear brothers and sisters, in the last episode we have talked about the birth of the universe and how can nothing create something. But when that nothing created something and then life on earth started, how did it create creatures in this universe? This universe that existed on its own, as some may claim, but did animals, birds, fish came to existence by themselves? Last time we assumed that nothing has created something, as you may remember, which is impossible. Today, however, we will assume that nothing has created the first cell that was the start of animal existence. But let's ponder a little how the cell came to existence from a scientific perspective point of view. Scientists who believe in Darwin theory, best known as the theory of evolution, how this cell came to existence and got developed. They said, or rather speculated, that there are two reasons for the merge of the first cell. The speculation cannot be part of a theory. So either those scientists have an argument or a proof that supports the proclaimed theory, or speculation remains as it is without any specific ground. But for the sake of argument, and we will accept these speculation and go further to see what this theory has to offer. Coming back to those reasons mentioned earlier, the first reason they claim is that the first cell originated from space. As a microscopic creatures that were hovering up in space, and then all of a sudden they came to Earth, then transformed itself to a cell, then this cell transformed into a one-cell being. And then this being turned out to be a living being. It's just merely coincidence, as they argue. The other reason is that the first cell originated from solid objects that are in nature, such as rocks, sands, soil, mountain, etc. So these non-organic objects transformed coincidentally to an organic substance. Then coincidentally again gave amino acids, then coincidentally turned into proteins, then coincidentally again changed to chromosomes, then coincidentally gave a one-cell being. Then it developed to become plants, animals, birds, etc. Can this be taken as a scientific-based fact and believe in it, and even teach it in schools' curriculum as a fact? How this proclaimed theory or a fact can be taken for granted when it is utterly based on speculations and coincidences? how can we deny the fact of God's existence opposed to such a theory? Does this add up in normal sense? The other questions that I like to pose, and it's really important to think about these questions deeply. Why evolution had stopped? Scientists that believe in such a theory explained it through the following examples. Take a whale, for example, which is a large creature that had hands and nasal cavities before, like in ancient time, I would say. Somehow those nasal cavities changed their place to become on the whale's back, so it would suit being in the ocean and be able to breathe through them. And its hands that changed to become fins, so it would adjust itself to living in deep in the water. And its legs changed to become a tail, as it is seen nowadays, so it can swim in the sea. Can we actually believe this? Is there any scientific evidence for this claim? They say that is due to genetic mutation. Does this mutation have some kind of a mind that would help design the perfect structure of a whale body which is completely streamlined? Maybe it's big, but completely streamlined, and it can swim gracefully in the water. We are talking about mindless genetic mutation that somehow managed on its own to develop a whale, or from a walking being to a swimming being. How can the nasal cavities become on top of its back? There must be an all-wise, all-knowing designer that shaped it in such a magnificent, harmonious manner, but not just barely a mindless process that shaped it. This example can be actually applied on many other animals. How did mankind evolve from being a monkey, as Darwin claimed, to this thinking being? It had a tail and fur, and all of this just suddenly disappeared. I find it really hard to believe. One may ask why certain monkeys underwent through this huge transformation to become mankind, while other monkeys stayed as they are until these days. It doesn't make any sense. Like some species got developed and some other species, which is the same species, basically speaking, or practically speaking. But, how some of them got developed to become thinking being, and those others just stayed primitive as they are and live in the jungle, just like any other animal. They may say that a human being may adapt itself according to the surrounding environment. Well, in that case, a human being that is living by the seashore should turn into a fish. And if someone else lives up on top of the mountain, may have feathers and wing and fly like birds do. On the other side, why couldn't a human being that lives in a desert dig in the sand like reptiles or snakes do? All they mentioned cannot be proven scientifically. The point that is worth mentioning in this aspect is that the father of evolution theory, Darwin, was not a genealogist or biologist and has nothing to do with genetics. This science was established after Darwin, and DNA was discovered a long way afterwards. This science showed how genes that are responsible for the shape and the characteristics of a certain being and how they function. Therefore, some genealogists argue about the baseless allegation of Darwin theory, considering it a scientific myth, and others described it as ignorance. And the third party labels it as incompetent. So I basically wonder how Darwin managed to promote this theory knowing that it is not a modern one. It actually originated from the ancient Greek myth. That's why you can see in their mythology an illustration of a certain creature that is half human being and half a horse. So Darwin came with nothing new. You never these never might be taken as this notion that attains to Greek and developed it. He probably might taken this notion from Greeks and developed it itself. What even makes me wonder is how can other scientists build their own assumption and conviction on such a theory, which is barely a theory, not a well-based fact. Next episode, however, and God willing, we will be talking about genetics in depth as appeared in Darwin's theory, and how other scientists perceive Darwin's claims. So, next time, inshallah, we're going to meet and discuss this in more depth. So, God bless you all. Once again, our usual question, Kalimat Sawa, poses a question to an atheist. So I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope that this episode was beneficial and somehow expanded the knowledge and gave us like a new perspective when it comes to Darwin's theory and everything. Kalimatu Sawa poses a question to an atheist. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And hopefully, inshallah, we'll meet each other again in these coming episodes and discuss things more in depth. Have a lovely day, and we see each other again.